Donc, cette semaine, alors, on va essayer de voir. Moi, je vais chercher de mon côté comment faire pour mettre la musique ensemble. Je vais un peu appeler mes cousins, essayer de voir, c'est eux qui sont les trucs de musique là.
Hi, everyone. We're going to be getting started at 5, so a few more minutes. Thank you for showing up for our first annual boot camp. Like I said, we'll be getting started shortly. So thank you. Hello, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Get some nods.
Yep, I can hear you loud and clear.
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everyone. Yep, okay, thank you. Well, we're starting right on the dot. I probably will give it a few more minutes just for some more people to hop on. But I can start off by introducing myself. My name is Morgan Colvin. I am the Student Programs Coordinator for the International Association of Black Actuaries. So I don't know if you all recognize my name. I know I've been sending a lot of emails out from on a student perspective, volunteer level, just really reaching out and trying to connect. So I started back in July with IABA and have had such a great time getting to know more about the actuarial profession. And it's interesting because we're going to be going through that today. We do have a presenter here. Mike, I see you. Do you want to kind of introduce yourself a little bit while we're trying to get some folks in here?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Morgan. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Opare-Addo. I'm a retirement actuary at Aon. I've been with Aon since 2018 after graduating from Illinois State University. I went there to pursue my master's in actuarial science, so same field as the profession I find myself in. But before then, I interned at Aon in 2016, and then I was hired to join them full time in 2018, and I've never looked back since then. I've been with them throughout.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Mike. It's been such a great time working with Mike, building out this presentation for you all tonight. I think that he is going to dive into a lot of important information. I've learned a lot myself just looking through it and learning about the different things. So I think it'll be very beneficial for everybody that's on the call tonight. We will have a short little panel. It's 3 individuals, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But Mike is also part of the panelists, so he's going to be diving into his consulting experience with Aon. So it's going to be a great session. We still have some people kind of coming in here. What do you think, Mike? We should probably give them a few more minutes, or do you want to, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we can give them a few more minutes, that's fine.
Okay, well, yeah, that sounds good. I see a lot of names on here that I recognize. I see some scholarship recipients with IABA. I see a lot of people on here that I've recently connected with, so that's really good. Yep, some more people joining. Where's everybody joining from? Does anybody want to tell us, where I know I'm located in Illinois at the moment. Oh, we got somebody from Baltimore. Okay. I'm not from Chicago, but I'm like 3.5 hours from Chicago. So I claim Chicago still, but it's okay. I see Dallas, New Jersey, South Africa, China, Trinidad. Oh, we got people from everywhere. That's exciting. Oh, Normal, Illinois. So we're not that far. Yes, keep dropping it. I love seeing all the different people. We have Ghana. Super excited to show you all the presentation and just to offer you all some more insight on the actuarial profession. Ghana, Tallahassee, Florida. We love Florida. The weather's kind of crazy there though. Okay. Well, what are some things you all are excited to learn? I know we're giving you some time for people to come in, but what are some things that you're looking for regarding the profession? Any type of questions that you might have for Mike later on, or any one of our panelists? What are some questions? Or if you don't have any, definitely start thinking of them now, because we will have time for you all to ask Mike some questions after the presentation, and then you'll be able to ask our panelists some questions as well. So we're really diving in everything. Oh, is an internship the best way to get into position after graduation? That is a good, I know personally myself, yes. I'm more with the student program side. So all the student programming that I did definitely contributed. Yeah. I hope those numbers are climbing. Yeah, but I definitely think, Mike, I saw you unmute yourself. Yeah, there goes the questions. Is it difficult for career changers? I am an underwriter now. Okay, yeah, these are some good questions. I'm pretty sure they'll be excited to answer.
Yeah, we just need to make sure we note those questions and address them, yeah.
Definitely. Okay. Well, we'll give it one more minute, just one more, and then we'll go ahead and we'll get started. Okay. Yeah, you all are asking good questions. I'm definitely writing these down. Oops, sorry about that. All right. I think we're all set, Mike, if you want to go ahead. So Mike is our presenter today, and he's going to be presenting an awesome presentation. So very excited, and the floor is yours, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Morgan. If we can move to the next slide.
Yes.
Yeah, so for those of you who joined a little bit later, I'll reintroduce myself so you get to know me. My name is Opare-Addo. I'm a retirement actuary at Aon. I've been with Aon since 2018 after graduating from Illinois State University. So shout out to all those people who said they are speaking or they are listening to this from Normal. I've been there and it's a lovely place to be. Actuarial science or the actuarial profession. We'll be learning about what the profession is, who an actuary is or what an actuary does. But I want you to, I noticed all of you were very engaged with the text, the chat box, and were putting in some chat. So please keep your keyboards, don't lose them, because I'll try to make this as interactive as possible. And I'm curious to hear your comments, your thoughts, and suggestions on some of the things that I'll be talking about. We've tried to keep this very simple. So the information here, we are assuming some of you know about actuarial science. In the same way, we're also assuming there are probably new people who don't know what the profession is all about. So the goal is to try to help everyone get something out of this. So we are trying to keep it basic. It will not be an exhaustive presentation, but we'll give you resources of where you can get more details. But we'll be sure to touch on the very key things that we think will be helpful to you. Obviously, on the first slide, you can see I'm a very huge movie fan. So in 2016, I had taken a couple of actuarial exams trying to become an actuary. I go to the movie theater and I see Zootopia. This dude comes out and said, I want to be an actuary. And for me, that was really interesting because I watch movies a lot and I hear about doctors in the movies, lawyers, pilots, and all of that. But I never hear about actuaries. So when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is great. At least when a kid asked me, what do? I'll say, have you watched Zootopia? You see this guy in there who says, I want to be an actuary. And some key facts about this, as at 2016, it was the 7th highest grossing animated movie. And it was top 20 Disney movies at that time. I don't know if that has changed or not, but it was a really good movie that was doing really well. So in the charts, I want you to think about what movies you watched as a kid that had an impact on your life. I want you to put the name of the movie in there, and I'm curious to see what interesting movies that people will come up with. I'm going to give you 15 seconds. 15 seconds, okay? Gifted hand. That's a good one. Spelling bee, good. Hidden Figures, nice. I've seen all of these, so don't worry if you have a movie that has a title in a different language. Three Idiots, that's interesting. That's a good one too. Nice, that's great. So we often come across movies or things that help define our lives or our career choices, and I'm glad to see you've all seen some movies. Someone says, I told you so. That's a really good Ghanaian movie. That's a good one, yeah. Okay, so on the next slide, Morgan. Actuaries are experts who apply math and statistical knowledge to business and finance in order to identify and quantify risk, And then they help find ways to reduce this risk. Now, you would notice probably that everything we do in our life today has some element of risk associated to it, from driving to work, taking a trip to your best vacation destination, or even going to the movies to watch a movie or catch up on your favorite cinema has some level of risk to it. And it's the job of an actuary to identify these risks and figure out the best ways to help individuals or corporations to deal with this risk. And on the next slide, we always hear about doctors, lawyers, accountants, pilots. When you see a pilot, you think about aeroplanes, you think about nicely ironed uniforms, walking briskly to the cockpit and starting the plane. Doctors, you think about needles, stethoscopes, syringes, MRI, and all of that if you watch a lot of medical movies. But what comes to mind? What phrase comes to mind when you think about an actuary or when you hear the word actuary? So on this slide, we have a couple of phrases that we thought are interesting. I've heard some of these from people. Definitely, we make uncertainty less uncertain, insurance mathematicians. But for the movie fans out there, you probably know my favorite is going to be The Wizard of Oz, since it rhymes so well with one of the good movies that I have seen. Financial engineering, we quantify the future, and the Chinese translation that I've also heard from someone is an accurate calculating master. It sounds really bossy, like, you know, it makes you feel like you're the boss. You've got a handle over your math and your calculations, and people can trust you for your word when you say, this math is correct, or I've calculated this, and this is the result I have for you. So again, I want you to grab your keyboard and tell me which of these is your favorite catchphrase when you think about or you hear the word actuary. If you have a different phrase that you think is interesting to describe what an actuary is, I definitely want to see that too. So please, let's hit the chat again. Insurance mathematicians, risk manager. Good. The Wizard of Oz. Yes, definitely. Risk manager, financial engineer, makes uncertainty less uncertain. Perfect. Thank you all. Yeah, so actuaries help make sure that companies have enough money today so that tomorrow they'll be able to pay the benefits that they've been busy promising their employees, or they've been busy promising everyone yesterday. As I said, I'm a retirement actuary, so I work for clients who promise their employees that after working for me for say 20, 30, 50 years, when you retire, I'll be paying you $1,000 every month, or $2,000, or whatever amount you want. And it's my job, or our job as actuaries, to help these companies put aside enough money so that they can meet that obligation when it is due. Insurance actuaries also price insurance products like auto insurance or health insurance, so that when you have a policy and they've promised you when you are sick and you go to the hospital, they'll pay the medical bills or part of it. They need to find ways that they can manage those resources, so when that risk or peril occurs, they have the resources to meet that obligation. So that is part of the job of actuaries. On the next slide, for the movie fans, another movie for you. I think the chat is covering my screen, so there you go. So Along Came Polly, this is a bit dated, so maybe not all of you might have seen it, but I do hope all of us, at least everyone, was born by the time this movie came out. But Ben Stiller in this movie says, I know that I have a 0.013 chance of being hit by a car on my way home, or a 1 in 46,000 chance of falling through a subway grate. So I try to manage that risk by avoiding danger and having a plan and knowing what my next move is. Now, this is a typical statement that you hear from actuaries. We are always calculating the odds or the probabilities of things occurring. What is the probability or the odd of an apple falling on someone's head and they just discovering gravity or a scientific term or something like that. So that is mostly, not mostly or partly some of the things we are interested in. But on the next slide, we will show you some actual statistics that relate to this movie. So after 2004, the actual odds of being hit by a car was 0.024%, but that almost doubled in 2016 to 0.042, thanks to the CDC and DOT for these numbers. Again, in the chat, what do you think are some of the causes or some of the reasons why there is such a huge leap in the probability of being hit by a car? Because we are all thinking technology and advancements would mean more safety, but the number is rather increasing. So what do you think in the chat? Increased drivers on the road, good. Yes, increased number of cars, nice. Phone distractions, excellent. Exactly, phone, population increase, good. I'm waiting for one more, then we continue. Insurance, okay. So that's a good one. People are getting hit because they think insurance is good. And so they probably get some money from that. That's very interesting, and that's true. That is insurance fraud, by the way. So yeah, so those are very correct statements from all of you. The number is increasing because of technology, distraction, people not paying attention when they are driving or walking, and so on and so forth. And so the job of actuaries is to find the actual underlying cause of the risk and then try to reduce it. If you've done any statistics in college or high school, I'm hoping there are some high school students here. If you've done any statistics at all, you will learn statistics 101. Correlation does not imply causation. So let's assume the number of trees in the United States has doubled over the 12-year period. That does not necessarily imply that there's a relationship or that the number of trees increasing has anything to do with the probability of an accident. Despite the fact that they are both moving in the same direction, hence that means they are correlated, but that is not the cause. So actuaries need to identify the actual cause of these events and then try to hedge against those. On the next slide, I wanted us to go through some key terms since we are interested in learning about the actuarial profession. Definitely, we are going to encounter these through our careers or through this boot camp. You're going to hear these a lot. And obviously, the first one is an actuary, and that is the profession or the field or the person who has gained or earned a credential. And actuarial science is the subject matter that you study in college. There are several colleges with very good actuarial programs. I went to one of those and I'm very proud, Illinois State. Yeah, and the next two are the Society of Actuaries and the Casualty Actuarial Society. And these are the main governing professional bodies that regulate the profession, and they are more into the educational aspect of the profession, the research, professional code of conduct, membership, disciplinary, and all those things, ensuring that we consistently produce quality actuaries to serve the needs of people. On the bottom part of these, you have some main designations. I know there have been some micro designations introduced by the SOA, but the main designations, first of all, is the Associate of the Society of Actuaries. And that goes alongside, when you look at the last but one, ACAS, they are the same, but one of them is for the Casualty Actuarial Society and the other is for the Society of Actuaries. Now, the Associate of the Society of Actuaries is more of a midpoint credential. Think of it, since we probably all know who doctors are. When a doctor comes out from medical school, I assume they are general doctors. They don't have a specialization yet. Before you go and specialize to become a heart surgeon or a brain surgeon or whatever other surgeons or specialties there are in the medical field. So the associate is the midpoint of the credential. That means you've reached the middle of your career progression when it comes to attaining your ultimate credential. The next one is an EA, which is an enrolled actuary. That is more towards the pension field. It's a joint credential by the Society of Actuaries and the IRS for pension actuaries. It means you can sign an actuarial opinion in the pension field. We have Sarah, which is a chartered enterprise risk analyst, which is more into managing the risk within business operations and things of that sort. Then the fellow of the Society of Actuaries, as I said, is the ultimate designation, and it goes hand in hand with the FCAS, where the FCAS is also the ultimate designation, but for the Casualty Actuarial Society. And let me go back and draw a distinction between the SOA and the CAS. I forgot to do that. So the SOA is more into health and life related things. So think about your life insurance, your health insurance, pension. So anything that has to do with life is mainly the SOA. And I say mainly because the SOA also have other credentials and involvement that has to do with non-life or inanimate things. While the CAS, the Casualty Actuarial Society, is more into the inanimate things, property and casualty. So think of your homeowners insurance, your auto insurance, catastrophe insurance, and things like that. So that is the main distinction between the two. So on the next slide, now that we know some of the key terms in the actuarial profession, you are probably asking yourself, Mike, what are some of the career paths that I can take if I want to be an actuary? And for the purpose of this discussion, we've grouped them into three main groups. The first one being consulting, the second insurance, and the third is the less traditional, but not the least important. Now, consulting actuaries mainly deal with companies or organizations as their clients. So when you have a consulting actuary, like a retirement, health, or investment actuary, the client will be a big company. Think of your favorite company in the world: Tesla, Amazon, Walmart, Walgreens. Those will be the clients that the consulting actuary will be working for or with. And they'll usually meet them, try to identify the risk that they face in their retirement plans, in their health or investment, and or catastrophe modeling and things like that, and try to help them hedge against these risks. Now, when you come to the insurance category, they deal more with individual risk or more personalized risk. So think about your health insurance that you buy for yourself, or your homeowner's insurance or your life insurance. That is more for the individual. So if something happens to the individual, then the insurance company pays you directly. Whereas with consulting, it is the company that is going to deal with the individual, whilst the actuary or the consulting actuary deals with the company. I hope that is not confusing and that it's a bit clear for everyone. Then we have the less traditional areas. One of my favorites is teaching. Back in college, I had teachers who were actuaries, which was very helpful because they had gone through the exam process and they understood what we needed to go through. So it was mostly helpful for some of us. We have actuaries in banking, in government, helping with managing certain risks that are associated with running a country, and so many other different less traditional areas. Now, I want you to all grab your keyboards again, and if you know of any area that you think an actuary can work in, but it's less traditional, please, I want to see it in the chat. Where do you think actuaries can be working? Tech, nice. Construction, perfect. Consulting, yeah. Digital companies, betting, interesting, yeah. That's very good, betting, because we like all sorts of things happening. Excellent. So one last thing I would like to call out on this page is, obviously you can realize there are some overlaps over here between consulting and insurance, because we have health actuaries under consulting, but we also have health actuaries under insurance. So it's one question that I've had before is it easy to transfer between consulting and insurance? Yes. The basic concept of being an actuary is the same: identifying risk, quantifying the risk, and help managing it. But you just need to learn the ropes in the new field when you move there, because it's the same basic concept, but applied in a different role or field. So it's very transferable. On the next slide, you're probably wondering, how do I become an actuary? How do I become credentialed? How do I get people to call me Mr. Actuary? And as I said, it's a professional designation, meaning you need to pass a series of interesting exams. Someone might say difficult, but I will call it interesting because they are interesting. Some of the questions will make you think and think again, but eventually you get it done and be a good actuary. And these exams are administered by the two societies that we spoke about, the SOA and the TAS. And exams are held at various times during the year. So you will have some of the higher level exams occurring every fall or spring, whilst other exams would be every other month. There are two levels of membership in each organization, as we said, the associate level, and then we have the fellow level. And obviously, as you work and you take exams, you gain more experience and understanding of the industry, and you're able to become more effective in what you do. Next slide, please. So you're probably asking, what is the pathway to becoming an associate of the Society of Actuaries or an associate of the Casualty Actuarial Society, which we will look at on the next slide. So when you look at this chart here, the blue boxes represent actual exams that you have to sit for in an exam center, Prometric, or whatever exam centers are out there, and write for several hours. Then the green boxes represent exams that you can get exemption from. These are VEEs, called Verification by Educational Experience. So you take an accounting course or a cons or mathematics course in college, and then they help you get exemptions from these exams. However, the SOA has courses that help provide exemptions from these exams as well. Then the yellow boxes represent e-learning courses. Think of them as more or less take-home exams, except the predictive analytics exam, which is the bottom right yellow one, which is an exam you have to sit for 5 hours. But the other e-learning courses, you basically go through a module, and at the end of the day, you submit an end of module assignment to be graded. And finally, you take your professionalism course, which is, let me call it your graduation. You go for a conference, maybe in Chicago, hopefully it's somewhere in Hawaii, and you get to enjoy some nice weather. And you learn about professional codes of ethics, codes of conduct, how to be a good actuary, the do's and don'ts, and everything that tends towards making you a very good actuary who is professional and is able to deliver quality results again and again. Now, the next slide is this. It's a similar slide to this, but for the Casualty Actuarial Society. And the first two exams, number 1 and 2 yellow circles, they are the same exams as the SOA. That's exam P for probability and exam FM for financial mathematics. These are the same exams. And as you go through the exams to exam 7, you still have some modules in there, and verification by educational experience, VEEs in there. Then after completing all these, you also get your ACAS, which is an associate of the Casualty Actuarial Society. Next slide, please. So now some interesting facts about these exams. We are hoping with all of you attending this boot camp, you're able to start taking the actuarial exams in college and earn a job. And once you earn a job or you get hired by a company, hopefully most of you will get an internship at the end of this upcoming IABA annual meeting. I hope all of you show up. It's really important. We'll be excited to see you there. And when you get hired, most companies will provide some paid time off. So they'll give you between 80 to 120 20 hours per exam to study. So you get paid as part of your normal work day. Assuming you work 8 hours a day, you probably work 6 hours on a day that you went to study, or 4 hours, and then use the rest of the time in the library or at home or wherever you feel comfortable studying to study for these exams. And then each exam typically requires several hours of study. Mostly they recommend 100 hours per hour of exam sitting. So if the exam is 5 hours, then they recommend 500 hours, but people do with less, other people do more. You just need to figure out what works best for you and stick to that. On the right grade chart, we have some other exam statistics, which is the average number of years to achieve your associateship or your fellowship in the society, and then the average pass rate for these exams. For the associateship exams between the FOA and CAS, it's mostly between 5 and 6 years to complete those requirements and become an associate actuary. But this includes the number of years you spend in college. If you're in an actuarial program, you're probably going to start taking exams in college. So if you are able to take 4 exams within the 4 years, or 3 or 5 exams, that counts towards these years. So you probably have maybe just 1 year more after you come out of college, or even finish your associateship in college if you are able to take these exams and pass. And then between approximately 7.5 years to get your full fellowship. And that is not on top of the 5 years, but including the 5 years that you use to get your associateship. 7.5 years, you get your fellowship, hopefully. And these are averages, so obviously it could be more, but hopefully it is less for everyone. On the exam pass rate between the SOA and CAS for associates is around 46% to 51%. And for fellowship, that is between 43 and 47%. Hopefully, again, everyone falls within the lower 40% passing range, so that we all get to celebrate when we meet you at the annual meeting. Next slide, please. So often we hear about careers in the news, and some of them are bad, but we have some good news about the actuarial profession that we thought we would call out for all of you. One of them being in 2019, we were ranked number 10 profession by CNBC, ranked 31 out of 62 college majors. Only 16% of actuaries have advanced degrees. It's quite unfortunate or fortunate that all 3 panelists today happen to have advanced degrees, but trust me, you don't need an advanced degree to be an actuary. It's good to have an advanced degree, don't get me wrong. They definitely try to progress in your education, but it's not needed to be called an actuary or to get the credential. We were among the top 20 best paying jobs according to US News and World Report, best business job, and best science, technology, engineering, and math job. We are among the top 25 in the world. In 2019, with COVID, like after COVID and all the recession that happened, Glassdoor ranked us number 9 recession-proof jobs, meaning you are more or less safe. You are less likely to lose your job in a recession, because recessions are times of uncertainty. And when there's uncertainty and risk, that is when you need actuaries the most. So that also helps us. And there are so many other benefits that comes with being an actuary. Nice work environment, very flexible. Most of us have been working from home or different locations since COVID, because we have built that capacity to be able to do that. Good employment outlook, very, very low unemployment rates when you look at the actuarial profession compared to other profession. I think last time I checked, it might be different now, but it was around 1% or less than 1%. Good job security, growth, and very good salary as well. So you're probably asking yourself, would you be a good actuary? So when I ask the question, I want you to put yes, no, or maybe in the chat. Do you excel or like math? I'll pause for 3 seconds and then I'll move on. Yes, nice. Hopefully everyone says yes. Are you an inquisitive or curious person? Of course, okay, that's bold. I like that. Do you like to solve complicated problems? Oh, yes. That's really good. All the time, yes. Do you enjoy strategy games? If you play God of War, I don't think that counts as a strategy game, but maybe you would disagree with me. Chess, nice, yes. Do you enjoy explaining things to people? Absolutely. Sometimes, okay. And do you enjoy working with computers? And by computers, I don't mean video games. I mean Excel coding, Python, SAS, PowerPoint, R. Perfect. And I think we have a lot of potential actuaries in the house, and we'll be hoping to see you when you all cross the line later. On our next slide, just a few laundry items as we wrap up. The next step or a practical assignment for you guys. If you want more information about this presentation or about the actuarial profession, you can go to soa.org, beanactuary.org, or casac.org. Do some research. They have some really good practice problems there if you are trying to take an exam, which will be very helpful and come in handy. They have lists of schools that offer good actuarial programs. Some of them are called Centers of Actuarial Excellence. You can, if you are in high school and applying to colleges, you can look into these schools and inform your decision as to which school or program is good for you. And always reach out to actuaries like myself, Isaac and Bright, and any other actuaries that you find around you or in the IABA. Please reach out with your questions and we'll be glad to answer them. And definitely join the IABA mentorship platform. It's really important that you do that. We have a lot of seasoned and learned and experienced actuaries who would help guide you. I was the beneficiary of that program. My mentor, coincidentally, I think it was a random pairing, but my mentor happened to work in the same company as I was working. So that was really helpful. And I learned a lot from him. And also definitely upload your profile on the job board so that companies can contact you and help find internships or job opportunities for you.
Mike, somebody in the chat asked, how can they reach out to you?
So I think I can leave my email or contact with Morgan. Feel free, since you all have Morgan's contact, and I'm sure she'll be glad to share it with you.
Yes, and it's at the end of the slide, or the PowerPoint presentation as well. So you'll have it at the end of the session too.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And with that, I think we are at the end of the presentation. Thank you for spending time with me today. But we are not at the end of our program. We still have the panel discussions and to answer all your fantastic questions that you had for us.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Mike. Give you a round of applause for all of that amazing information. And like I said, I've learned a lot. Even sitting here with you presenting, I learned some information myself. So I hope that everybody else, yes, everybody's thanking you in the chat. So yes, thank you, Mike, for that. Mike is also one of our panelists. So I guess we can save some of the questions that you all had earlier as well. We can say that for the Q&A section. So we got to know Mike. I guess we can go ahead and Bright, are you on the call?
Yep, I'm right here.
Oh, hi, how are you?
Good.
Yep, it's good to see you. So yes,
You.
we have Bright, and then we have one more individual on the call by Isaac. Isaac, are you on the call as well?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Sorry. I'm
Yep.
here, if you can hear.
Yep, we can hear you, Isaac. Yep. So I think since we had Mike tell us a little bit about himself, Bright, would you like to start off by telling us a little bit about you?
Yeah, sure. Before I get into that, let me just say I'm actually a former bootcamp attendee and I'm really glad to be back. And as a former attendee, I can really attest to how valuable this program is to just like getting you to know about the profession and build some soft skills and also increase your marketability to potential employers. My name is Bright Amudzi, and I'm a fellow of the Casualty Actuarial Society. Mike spoke a little bit about the organization. And I also went to Illinois State University. Mike was also there, and I think Isaac will also get into, yeah. So I went to Illinois State University for grad school, and right after I graduated, I joined Liberty Mutual's the actuarial rotation program in 2016, and I'm still there. So that tells you I like Liberty. And since I joined, I've been in different roles: pricing, reserving, predictive modeling. It seems some of you may not know a lot about these roles, but I think as you go through the program, you get to understand them a bit more when someone mentions them. And in my less busy days, I think I like making quick food. So you can think of like a 5-minute, 10-minute food that you can make and then just walk away. That's what I like to do. So that's just about me. Should I jump right into how my day looks like, or want to pass it on to Isaac and then we'll get into that later?
Yeah, we can go to Isaac and then we're going to be diving into the questions. Yeah, Isaac, do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself and then we can go ahead and get the session started?
Yeah, sure. I also attended a boot camp in, I think it would be 2017 or something like that. And just like Brian, I can attest to how beneficial it was to improving my marketability. As he said, the sessions were very helpful. For us, we were lucky that it was in person, so it was camped in a facility, getting to interact in person with all of the other boot campers and even the resource people that came to speak to us. And hello. I think someone might not have muted themselves.
Yes, please mute yourself if you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were asking me a question, but
oh
yeah,
no,
sure.
You're good.
So my name is Isaac Owusu. I also went to Illinois State University. I also went to the same university in Ghana with Michael. We are actually roommates. So we've known each other for a pretty long time. I went to grad school at Illinois State, studied actuarial science as well. And from then I moved to Connecticut to work for Cigna, which is a health insurance company. I've finished all my exams, but I don't have my FSA title yet. So I would desist from using it until I get it officially conferred on me. But so that's just a little bit about myself. What I like to do, now that I've finished my exams, usually I just play FIFA in the night. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do, like, take up something else. But as of now, I haven't really found anything apart from just wasting my nights playing video games.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Isaac. I'm trying to see, should we dive into the questions on the PowerPoint, or should we dive into the questions that was asked earlier? I think we should dive into the questions that I guess people asked earlier. Like, one of the questions is an internship the best way to get into a position after graduation? And I really wanted to get you all's opinions on that.
I can go first.
Yeah.
I think any sort of job experience is valuable in this profession, right? Because whatever you're going to learn in school is, you would find out very quickly that it doesn't translate one-to-one in terms of what you're going to work on. As you can see, the exams process is supposed to be pretty general, but at the end of the day, all of us then branch out into various aspects of the profession. So Mike is working in retirement, I'm working in health, Bright is working in property and casualty, if I have that right. So any sort of work experience is valuable. I would say for usually what most people do is after school, they usually tend to get a full-time job, not an internship. Most people try to take internships while they're in school, right? So that's one thing that I would encourage you to do, to not wait till after school to look for internships. Try to make the most out of your time in school. Usually try to pass one exam or two during your school year, and then you can use that to get an internship. One, it will increase your marketability to companies, but then also it will ease your transition into the workforce. When you now finish school and actually get a good job, you would have a feel of what the industry is like. If you are lucky to do a couple of internships, maybe two, you are able to decipher what you like and what you don't like. Maybe do you want to work in consulting versus insurance? You want to work in health versus life? You know, if you're able to have two different internships, that would help you to shape what you like and what you don't like. So I'd say definitely yes. Grab every opportunity. Actually go for every opportunity that you can get to do an internship while in school. If it has to be after school, that's fine as well. But definitely put your best foot forward and try to get in there.
And just to add to that, I've heard of people who actually wanted to be actuaries, and after their internship, they were like, okay, I don't think this profession is for me. So it's also an opportunity for you to know if like you really want to go the long haul and go through the exams and everything that comes with it. Yeah, so I would highly recommend it to anyone who wants to be an actuary. It will get you to check it out and to determine if that's something that you want to do.
Yeah, and if I may also add to it, it definitely gives you the credibility in front of companies, because if you have some experience in the actuarial profession, it tells someone that you are not clueless. At least you have an idea of what the profession is about. You've tested the waters and you probably think it's good for you and you can be trusted. So having an internship is ideal. There are situations where people don't get internship, but they get jobs. But it's definitely easier if you have at least one internship on your resume.
Yeah, thank you guys for that insight.
I see someone was asking about career changes. I'm not sure it came from Therese. I'm not sure if she's asking about career changes in light of the question that we're currently answering, or if she can clarify. Okay, so she means if you're changing careers, yes, of course. Again, if you can find an internship, do that. But usually the internships are designed, and that's just as a result of the way that the career is structured, right? Most companies give internships to like folks that are in school. They usually have a recruitment drive to try and get maybe sophomores, seniors, and juniors into the internship program so that they can consider hiring them. But even if you're a career changer, I know a friend of mine at our company who moved from teaching into becoming an actuary, and the strategy that he used was he reached out to an actuary in our company and he asked about the profession, and he got told that you have to show some level of commitment. Unfortunately, you don't have an internship, but if you can write 2 exams and pass them, then I would recommend you for an interview. So he went, took 2 exams, prepared for them, passed them, got an interview, and then he got hired, even though he didn't have he was a music major or something like that in college. So that's the one thing I like about this profession. You can come in from anywhere. You don't need, like Mike said, you need an advanced degree, none of that. You need certain basics. Just show commitment, sit for an exam or 2 and pass it. You have someone that will take a chance on you.
And really, that is why things like the IABA bootcamp and the annual meeting is important, because if you are trying to change your career, it's an opportunity for you to meet employers face to face and to let them know who you are. At times, your resume does not do justice to who you are and what you can contribute. But when you attend the boot camp, you learn some of the skills you need, you improve your resume, your interviewing skills, and then you talk to employers. You're able to articulate who you are better and able to let them know that, yes, they can give you the shot to change your career.
And Mike, I think that point right there answers one of the questions that I saw earlier. Someone was asking, how did the bootcamp help with marketability? So that's just it. Like sometimes your resume wouldn't do enough justice to who you are, or even you probably are not even doing enough justice to yourself. You know, how you are portraying yourself on your resume. So meeting professionals, professionals and folks from like different companies, or being an HR or actuaries really goes a long way. And also, you know, it helps, you know, hone some of your skills a little bit. You may not like talking to people, but through the boot camp, you'll be encouraged, you know, to just be open and then speak up a little bit more. So that's some of the ways.
Yeah, and as you all were talking about career changers, I think some of the question that was mentioned earlier was whether it would be difficult for career changers to enter the profession. It sounds like it's actually something that might be a little bit easier than people think, the transition. Yeah, so I definitely think that should answer that question for that person. And another question, or someone looking to gain insight on the day-to-day work schedule and work-life balance aspect with exams. I know it.
The work aspect with exams?
Yes, so I guess working and practicing or studying for exams.
Okay, I can take a shot at this. And I work for a consulting company, and people have the misconception that consulting companies do not have time for studying and all of that. And I think that is not true. I think for me, that even made it easier for me to pass my exams quicker. I think I passed exams quicker when I was working than when I was a student, which is weird, because if you're working for a good company, and assume all the companies or most of the companies that are part of their IABA are really, really good like companies, they provide quality, steady time and resources, which really helps. So for me, a typical day or a typical week would be go have a plan or a strategy to complete some tasks for some clients. Occasionally, you have special requests that come in out of the blue. You're not expecting it, and the client wants you to do X, Y, Z. So you have to drop what you plan to do and attend to the client's need. But at the end of the day, if I have, say, 80 hours to study for an exam, I still have that 80 hours. So if I don't take it as planned today, I'll push it to tomorrow. And instead of taking maybe 2 hours tomorrow, I'll take 4 hours. So good companies have good exam programs that make sure you are taking all the required time you need to study and pass. Because think about it, the company is paying for these exams for you, and it will cost them more if you fail and have to take the exam. So why don't they give you the resources you need to pass it on the first attempt? And companies are rational. They obviously want you to pass and celebrate your success. So most exam programs are well developed to help you combine your work and your exams so that you are very efficient and able to pass as quickly as possible.
Yeah, thank you for that. Did anybody, I think that was really good because there was a lot of questions about exams, and I know you all have a lot of exams.
Yeah, I can share one or two on that. So it's a fair question. It is definitely a challenge to be working and studying, you know, trying to juggle a couple of things. And as Mike said, a lot of companies support, you know, the students to take the exam, give them study hours, the materials that they need. What I would say is So everyone in the profession knows that is a challenge. It comes down to like time management, personal time management. And sometimes not just about time management, but you keeping to push, like pushing on and not giving up, right? So as you work through it, it says a lot also about you. I mean, if you're not passing the exam, doesn't mean it's not saying a lot about you, but like you attempting the exam says a lot about you, right? In terms of how diligent you are to the profession, your time management skills, and your what's the word? Like you are someone who persists. You are persistent, right? So yeah, and determined.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. I know I do want to go to the time. I know that it's about to reach the hour, but we have a lot more questions that I think people would be very beneficial to hear you all's opinions. I don't know if you saw in the chat, but somebody said they love hearing you guys and everything you're all saying is insightful. So I think we still, want to get you all's opinions. So one question that I saw was, can they tell us how long it took them to attain the FSA or FCAS credential? Yeah, how long did it take?
So quick backstory, I actually took my first exam with Isaac. We started together on the same day, took almost all our exams together, and we finished and we are finishing almost at the same time. But to answer your question, I think we started in 2013. Sorry,
2014.
2014, yeah.
It was March 2014, I remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And we finished, let's call it 2021.
Yeah, so like 7 years, the average time that they said kind of like accurate for us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, similar for me. So I started in 2012, then I took a very long break and then came back in 2015. And I also finished in 2021. So yeah, on average, 7, 8, 9 years. Yeah.
Yes, it depends. It sounds like, but it sounds like 7 to 9. So yeah, so what aspect of the profession inspired you all to get into it? You want to start, Mike?
Yeah. Okay. I could go for
Mike,
it.
Okay. So I think for me, when I was trying to figure out what I was going to do as my major in university, I thought I was going to be an accountant. For some reason, someone just made it seem like accounting wasn't fun and challenging enough. The person just showed me a very boring picture of what accounting was. So then I went on a search for, okay, what can I do that, I like math. I think I'm smart enough. Like, what can I do that's challenging enough? And I chanced on actuarial science. My dad actually worked in insurance. He wasn't an actuary though, but like when I told him about actuarial science, he was like, oh yeah, it's like a good career choice. But there's so many exams. Make sure you're ready to take them. So like that's how I chanced on it. And my motivations were, one, I felt like it was a pretty exciting career. I felt like I could use my skills in math, build business skills. The other thing too is it seemed like a profession where you could rise to even the upper echelons of any company, because usually if you take the role of like a chief actuary, right? A chief actuary is someone who is pretty high up there, gets to talk to like important people like the CEOs and make very important decisions. So it felt to me like, okay, you can have like progression there as well. It promised like the salaries of actuaries, if you look at the salaries of actuaries compared to other professions, it seems like it's good enough. So I'm not going to pretend that the money is not good, even though it could be better. But yeah, that was also a motivation. And what else? Yeah, so those were basically my motivations, math, and the experience that I thought I could get out of it, and obviously good career remuneration and security in the career as well. So those were my motivations. I think you're muted, Mike.
Thanks, Isaac. For me, I wanted to go to medical school, but my siblings before me were in the medical field one way or the other. So my parents felt, why don't I think about something else? Because they don't want to have doctors, like everyone in their house being in the medical field. So I was like, okay, if I'll look into that, and what is the next best thing that can challenge me enough? And I thought actuarial science was a good fit. The critical thinking opportunities that it offers and your ability to solve complex problems and make it look simple to other people was enticing to me. So I just felt, let me just give it a shot and see. I tried it. As Bright said, I liked it, so I kept on doing
it. For me, I would say the first was the money, because when I saw the salary, I thought that, so usually when you read, you know, that they'll give you the annual salary, and at the time I thought it was a monthly salary. I was like, wow, I'm going for this. So besides the money, so when I was learning about, or when I first learned about the profession, one thing that really drew me to it was how it was described to me, or how I read it. An actuary is a mathematician in the business world. So you are, because at the time I obviously like, most actuaries like math. At the time I was like, yeah, do I want to, you know, be a math professor, or like what exactly do I want to do? And I also like business, so it felt like a good blend of what I would want to do. So yeah, that's how I ended up here.
Well, thank you for that. And Brad, I think somebody said, gotta get to the bag. So they understand your motivations behind, you know, with money, we all, you know, want a good salary to bring home. So yes, so we have a few more questions. So somebody said, I had one interview with Allstate, was introduced to my first data set and was declined for the position. Can anyone speak to the transitioning from a UW position to an actuarial position, particularly for someone who did not attend a university that focuses on actuarial science? What is the best way to stand out to an employer?
Yeah, I can try to attempt this. I know most of these companies have rotation programs or job shadows or stuff like that. So if you are in the same company and you probably want to switch from underwriting to maybe actuarial in the same company, it's easier to maybe try helping on some of the actuarial positions while you are in your underwriting position. So you gain some, let me call it airtime in front of the actuary. You do some work for them, with them, they get to know your capabilities. It's easy for them to recommend you that way because they've seen your work within the same firm and they know that you can probably cut it when you're given the opportunity. But if it's from one underwriting company to the next, I would recommend probably taking an exam. Although it is not required, it shows your commitment to wanting to switch to the profession. If you say you want to travel outside the US and you don't have a passport, you don't really want to travel. So definitely make that commitment first, and companies would know that, okay, this person is ready to make the move, among other things.
So that's actually the first question I will ask, if the person has an exam. If you have an exam, that's really good. And what I will say is, try not to think so much about you not getting that particular position after the mock work on interview that you, like the case that you were given. It could be that you did well, but some other candidates did better than you did, right? It doesn't mean that you are not good. It doesn't mean that you need to like really do a lot more work. So I could say, if you have an exam, keep trying. Apply to companies, and also you have other skills that are easily transferable. Underwriter, you talk to a lot of people, you do a lot of written communications, probably presentations. All these are very transferable skills that are very, very valuable in the actuarial profession. So I would say, if you are not joining the bootcamp, oh, well, actually you are here, so you are part of the bootcamp. You are also going to learn a lot on how you can market yourself a lot better. So I would say you are actually in a good spot.
Yeah, I was going to say, for starters, you definitely are in the right place. Opportunities like these, when they come, you take them. You try and hear what actuaries have to say. You've asked a very good question, and that's the way to go. I would align with what Mike and Bright have said. Try to talk to actuaries in your company and understudy them if you can. Most companies would even have like a program director for the actuarial program. So that might be a good person for you to schedule a meeting with, just to talk to them and express your interest to, like, transition into the actuarial department in a company. Hopefully they can give you some good advice on what you should do for the specific company. And definitely show your commitment by taking an exam or two. That's at least, like, usually entry level positions, 2 exams puts you in a very good spot to get it. And the first 2 exams, they're not easy. They're a little bit challenging, but definitely not as challenging as you go higher up in the profession. So exam P and FM, those, if you and they're taking they take fee in the odd number months, and they administer FM in the even number months. So that's 6 exams, 6 exam P attempts you could have in a year, and 6 exam FM attempts you could have in a year. So that's a lot of different opportunities for you to get it. Give yourself a year, study for those exams, 2 exams, try and get it on the board. Go and talk to an actuary and say, hey, I want to work as an actuary. This is what I've done to show that I'm committed to the profession. And I'm pretty sure they will most likely give you a chance. So
yeah.
Okay. So I was just going to say, definitely take advantage of the resources you have through the bootcamp and the IABA. It's one of the best chances you have to land in a job. And most of us here can attest to that. Like, you learn a lot of skills on the bootcamp. You meet a lot of different people from different companies during the bootcamp, the career fairs, and the annual meeting, which is in August. Morgan, am I right? July, August? I think it's August.
It's August.
August, yeah. Definitely attend these events, meet people. When people get to meet you and they get to put a face to the resume, it's easier for them to make a judgment, a better judgment than not knowing you at all. So I'll continue to advocate for
that. So I was going to say something similar on those lines, Mike. And this applies to both folks who are coming from college or who want to transition from a different career. I think employers are not looking for, for entry level, they are not looking for actuaries. They are looking for people who have the aptitude, who have shown that they want to be actuaries and they want to be trained as actuaries, right? So taking your exam is definitely one of them. Besides that, there are a lot of things that you are doing in college or in your, if you want to transition, you are doing in your current role, that can show that you have certain skills that will be valuable to the company. And when the company takes you on, they are going to train you to be an actuary, a seasoned actuary. So just have that at the back of your mind and think about it that way. So any resources that is available to you for you to, try to sharpen your skills, both soft skills, in particular, because sometimes we don't pay a lot of attention to it when we are in college. Yeah, any resources that you can lay your hands on, just do. And any opportunity that you can chat with people, I would say just take it.
All right. This is our last question, and then after that, we will be wrapping it up for tonight. I will, at the end of the presentation, there is my email that you can reach out and get Bright, Isaac's, or Mike's information if you want to ask any questions. They seem like they are very helpful and insightful. So I definitely think you all should reach out. And then IABA has a lot of resources such as mentorship and et cetera. So, and exam prep as well. So it's a lot that we have on top of our actuaries here. So our last question is to Bright. Why did you take the CAS exams and not SOA? It seems only few people from Ghana take those exams. What's the motivation behind it?
So when I was in grad school, one of the courses that I really liked was, I'm blanking on the name, but now we'll probably call it like modeling, predictive modeling. So regression, advanced regression. And I thought it was applied a lot more in the CAS route. And in addition to that, CAS was the first to give me unemployment. So I was happy with it. That's how I ended up with Liberty. Yeah, actually through Liberty Mutual.
Gotcha. Well, thank you. Thank you for that. I hope that answered your question. And yeah, thank you all for coming out. So what's next? Our next session will be February 23rd, 2022. So it's going to be in 2 weeks, a Wednesday from now. Be on the lookout for practice assignments, the recording, etc. from this session. And our next session will be focusing on resume review. So we will be having people come in to show you how you can self-review your resume. And then there's an opportunity where you can have your resume reviewed by recruiters. And then you can have like that one-on-one with them to really build your resume out. And then you can add it to the IABA resume book, which is available to all our corporate sponsors and partners. So a lot of employers will be able to see your resume. As the panelists were saying, how they basically got exposed to different people. So thank you so much, Isaac and Mike, for coming out with us today, or coming today since we're not in person. But thank you so much, and we appreciate your insight. And thank you, Michael, again for presenting that amazing presentation. And yeah, it's a bunch of people saying thank you. Yeah, so everyone just be on the lookout for that email. It should be going out early next week for our next session. And that is all for tonight. Yes, and remember—
Thank you all for showing up too.
Oh, yes. Thank you, guys. And here's my email for you all to send. Yeah, but thank you guys for coming out. I really appreciate it. Please come out to the next session. And it's been amazing seeing you all. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.